Welcome to the Sean Show, Season 2, Episode 14. We're here to talk about Week 12 of NFL football. Not going to stuff around today. Let's get straight into it. So, first up, as always, the Week 11 simulation results for those of you who are new to the channel, which most of you probably are. Before the season started, before the preseason, we made a sim. This was before a lot of, key signings, a lot of key injuries. So the sim's been chugging along. As you can see this week, the sim went 8. I gotta say I didn't pick the same as the sim myself. I did pick the Dolphins. I did pick the Packers to win. Surprised that the sim picked the Giants to beat the Packers still. I did pick the Bears over the Minnesota Vikings, and obviously I picked the Denver Broncos as well. So my own personal picks are not something that we are tracking, but it's just nice to know that. Anyway, that's what the sim did. Let's move on to this week. What does the sim think? Surprise, surprise, it actually got Thursday Night Football wrong twice in a row. I don't think that's happened this season. For TNF, the sim is currently 8-4, seeing the board quite well, to be honest. I myself picked the Bills on Thursday Night Football. Kind of not surprised that the Texans beat them. Look, Bills don't have a great defense. Texans have the number one defense. I'm sorry. Something was going to give. Anyway, moving on to the rest of the week, and namely tomorrow. We got the Jets going into Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is heading the front for the Baltimore Ravens, and I think it's not Jacoby Brissett. It's Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor is running the Jets. No more Fields. I'm not sure if he's got a concussion. I'm about to check that out. He does not. Looks like they're just looking for a change. Hopefully something turns out well here. Look, I'm going to go with the Ravens as well. That organization is going to turn around the Jets. Look, they just need to really... I don't know, man. I don't know. They've got a head coach now who seems to want to instill a different culture there, so hopefully he can do that. Obviously not as quick a turnaround as the Chicago Bears, but still, we're picking the Ravens here. Now we've got Chicago at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Aaron Rodgers is wanting to play, even though he broke his non-throwing hand. I think the Bears here continue to ride it. I think they win. Show Chi-Town what the team can be, and hold on to the North for one more week. I think Caleb's rushing over and under is only like 22 yards too, so we'll see that in the betting section. In terms of injuries for this game, in fact, you know what? We're not doing this. We're going to do this against the spread. All right. Quick picks. Bears. Next. It's pick the Patriots. Joey Burrows has been full participant of practice, but he is not playing. It will be Joe Flacco. I'm also going with the Patriots here. Killing it right now with, I think they're 9-2. Moving on to the next game, we got the Giants versus the Lions. Look, I'm going with the Lions here. The Giants, they still are holding on to that interim head coach bump for the win. This is a dangerous game for the Lions. This is a very, very dangerous game. I'll talk about it in the against the spread section. Look, I'm going to just let the sim do its thing here. Yeah, this is a scary game, guys. Just don't let this one pass you by. All right, then we got the Packers hosting the Minnesota Vikings. Sims picked the Packers. I'm picking the Packers. Colts going into Kansas City. The sim before the season did not know what the Colts were going to be. It loves Daniel Jones, but it just didn't think it was going to turn things around this quickly. I'm going with the Colts here. Look, off the bye week, I don't know how this particular Indianapolis Colts team performs after a bye. We don't have that data. but I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts here. The Chiefs are a desperate Chiefs team. They need to win out to have a chance at the playoffs. This could eliminate them. This could really be the dagger in the side. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Anyway, we've got the Tennessee Titans hosting the Seattle Seahawks. The Sims picked the Titans. It really did not believe in Sam Darnold. It really did not believe in... it thought Cam Ward and his receiver over there were going to be a lot more. Now, the Tennessee Titans defense is not the worst thing in the league. They can get blown out, but they also can hold teams to very few points. The Seahawks are coming off a pretty shitty week last week against the Rams. They did get their butts handed to them. So I think they're going to be coming out firing against a seemingly weak opponent. Yeah, last week the Titans only let the Texans score 16 points. Now again, that's the Texans offense. It was Dougie Mills-led offense, but still only 16 points. You know, they do have some players on that team, so nothing to sneeze at. I'm going with the Seahawks here. Sorry, Sim, you couldn't see that far into the future. Next, we've got the Jags going into Arizona. The Sims picked the Jaguars. I do believe Jacoby Brissett is continuing to be the face for the Arizona Cardinals, at least for this season. I think the Arizona Cardinals can steal a win here. Jags can do it as well. But as you know, almost every Cardinals game this season has been around a one-score game. Now, last week they did lose by 19 points to the San Francisco 49ers in a divisional, which is odd to have such a whooping. But, you know, the Niners can be different sometimes. I don't have the full stats, can't tell you what happened, but I think the Cardinals could win this week. Next up, the game of the century. That's right. We have the Cleveland Browns taking on the Las Vegas Raiders in an absolutely delightful matchup that nobody thought was going to be this friggin' hot. Shedeur Sanders is playing. He's starting. Everybody's excited. No, we get to finally see what Shedeur Sanders can do on a football field after getting 1 week's worth of full first team reps. Let's go. Now, don't think he looked great last week, but hey, we've all recently learned that if you're a backup quarterback in this league, then you're not getting any reps with the first team. So when you get called into a game, 45 minutes into the thing, and you've been standing on the line for about 2 hours, and then they're like, yo, bucko, it's time to go. And you're like, okay, let's go. You're not going to have a great game, especially if you're a rookie, right? Let's hope that's, you know, Shedeur Sanders welcome to the NFL kind of welcome. But no, this should be good. It's going to be a pretty rough game. Honestly, you've got a very good Cleveland Brown defense against a trigger-happy Geno Smith. You've got a rookie Shedeur Sanders and an off-the-wall fucking Max Crosby. Holy hell. This game should be pretty, you know, it'll be fun to watch. It might not be the most electric football you ever see, but it's going to have a lot of eyes on it simply because Shedeur is going to play, so you may as well get your eyes on it as well. I'm picking the Raiders here. I can't go with the rookie quarterback against a veteran defense. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. Gino, you need to figure out how to put up points. You need to figure out how to keep the ball safe. Ugh. Okay. Just ride Brock Bowers and Tyler Lockett. There's not much else you have to do. You need a better O-line or some better running game to get Ashton Jenny going. There are weapons. There are weapons. Maybe throw the ball to Ashton Jenny. I don't know. Next divisional game, we got the Philadelphia Eagles going into Dallas to take on the Stars, the Cowboys. Sims picked the Eagles. I'm actually picking the Cowboys here. We'll talk about in the next section. Next, we got an absolute shit show of a divisional game. I'm not going to mince words here. We got the Atlanta Falcons, headed by Kirk Cousins, which shouldn't be the worst thing. And then we've got the New Orleans Saints, very bottom of the barrel. One of these teams is going to get a win. Hold up. A tie is possible. I'm picking the I'm picking the Saints. Don't ask me why. It's the worst decision I think I've ever made. The Falcons are a very aggressive defense, at least on the line. Tyler Shuck is going to have a lot of pressure. Both of these teams have had a season. Kirk Cousins coming back. Is this his last season? Does he get a job somewhere else next season? Who knows? Who really knows? I think the Sim's probably right here. But I'm still picking the Saints. Don't know why. Next up on Sunday Night Football. That's right. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into LA to take on the Rams. Sims picked the Rams here. I'm also picking the Rams here. We'll talk about it in the next section. And then on Monday Night Football, we've got the Carolina Panthers going into San Francisco to take on the 49ers. The Sims picked the 49ers. That's a fair call. On bye week this week, we've got the 9-2 Denver Broncos. Holy hell. We've got the Chargers in second place of these four teams. And then we've got the Dolphins, who are ahead of the Washington Commanders. Now, I mean, like, league-wide standings. Obviously, 3 of these teams are in the AFC and 1 is in the NFC. So they don't really stack up against each other like that. I'm going off my records, okay? So that's the way they're listed. Just a little tip for you guys, if you were curious. The season record for the Sim is 91-73, so don't take these picks too lightly, okay? Season pick rate of 55.5 currently. That is better than some of the NFL analysts that get to see the game every week, okay? Again, this was a very long shot prediction, and that's the end of that section. So, going to against the spread, week 12. Last week's record was 9-5. And would you look at that? The season record is getting closer to 500. I think we're figuring out this against the spread. I think we can possibly finish the season over 500. Let's go. That was the goal. Before this season, I don't think I really did against the spread. It is a very difficult thing to do. Picking winners is much easier. So, with that said, in week 12 of NFL football, the Texans defeated the Buffalo Bills in a thrilling 23-19 game. Only 23% of the bets were on Houston, and those people have a little bit more money now. The first game of this week is the Jets going into the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are getting 13.5 points. Now, that is a lot of points. That's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. I'm going with the Jets here. 13.5 is, again, it is a lot of points. Injuries for this game, we've got a couple of questionables on the Jets. And out for the Ravens, we've got Rashad Bateman, wide receiver, and we've got cornerback Keon Martin. So I'm taking the Jets. I don't think they get their ass absolutely beat. They're not playing in New York, so they don't have the factory of sadness looming over them. In fact, nobody's playing in New York this week, so it's possible that both New York teams win. Things going for the Jets this week. You're rocking Tyrod Taylor. Kick that funk off. This team can finally get some air yards. Is Baltimore a great defense? I wouldn't say they're a great defense, but they have been playing better in the last weeks. With that said, against the spread, I'm picking the Jets. Again, they can win this game. Probably unlikely, but they should cover. Next, we got the Chicago Bears riding high at the top of the NFC North for the first time in a while. But as you know, I saw faith in this Ben Johnson-led team with Caleb Williams before the season. I said it was a very good job for him to walk into, and I think it was a great partnership. And we'll see in the fruits of that. Really quick turnaround. These guys are on a hot streak. All right, they're getting 2.5 points at home against the Steelers. I'm going with the Bears here. They don't really have anybody out. Yes, they do. They've got quite a few people out. They got running back Travis Horner, not a starter. Another running back, Rashawn Johnson, not the starter. We got linebacker Tremaine Edmonds. We got linebacker TJ Edwards. Linebacker Noah Sewell. We got DB Kyler Gordon and DB Jalen Johnson. All of these guys are out for the Bears, yet I'm still picking them because they keep winning. Okay? We're going to move on now to the next game. We've got Patriots going into Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Out for the Patriots is a linebacker, Jay Tavai. And we got a few outs for the Bengals. Obviously, I did state that Joe Burrows is not playing in this game. Defensive end Trey Hendrickson is also out. Defensive end Cameron Sample. Cornerback Cam Tyler Britt. And safety Dejan Anthony are all out. And for the Patriots, I've mentioned it's just that one linebacker out. I'm going with the Patriots here. 7.5 points is quite a few points, but I think they cover. They're just a solid team all around. This Bengals defense is absolutely horrible. Missing Trey Hendrickson, missing another defensive end, a cornerback and a safety. Oof. I don't think they can do it. That's not any shade to this Bengals offense. It's more so shade to the Bengals defense and the Bengals O-line. Figure it out, Cincinnati. Next up, we got the New York Giants going in to Detroit to play the Lions, coming off a loss, and they are not happy about it. 13.5 points for the Detroit Lions. Who's out for them? We've got Miles Frazier, O-line. We got edge, DeMarcus Davenport. We got edge, Joshua Pascal. We got cornerback, Terrion Arnold. And safety, Kirby Joseph, all out. They do have a list of questionables. On the Giants side, Jackson Dart, still with the concussion. We got tight end, outside linebacker, Thibodeau. He's out. And also cornerback, Paulson Abido. I'm sorry about that. I butchered that. They're out. Also, Malik Neighbors is not playing. Cam Scatterboo is also out. They're both on the IR. Why do I think this Giants team can win this game? Few things. Well, first up, one thing I've already mentioned. Then neither New York team is playing in the Factory of Sadness. So they don't have that funk hanging over them. Alright? The city can be a happy, peaceful place this week, at least in terms of football. Second thing, before the Packers game, Brian Daboll, he was fired as the head coach for the Giants. Typically, teams get a head coach bump when their coach is fired. The players, they get a fire inside of them. You know, they want to play for the new guy. There is a change in the air. Something's fresh. Now, they didn't get their win last week against the Packers because the Packers had their own shit going on that overrid a couple things with the Giants. And the Giants were rolling the dice, playing Jameis Winston. Because Jameis is an enigma. He can have an amazing game, or he can have a terrible game. Last week, his game wasn't great. The Packers could have got 4 interceptions. They only got 1. Okay? Again, Jameis is an enigma. Okay? He can throw for like 5 touchdowns and run for another 2. The Giants still have their head coach bump game waiting for them. That's 3 crazy reasons why the Giants can win this game. Now on the Lions side, I think they're like 13-0 after a loss against the spread. So there's a couple of things there. But I think maybe the air is changing with the Giants. It's shifting, you know? I say this every week. You got Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo, fucking Malik Neighbors, Thibodeau. You got this team that now has a new energy. Now a lot of that energy is injured. And again, we have a couple of things riding for them this week. I've picked the Lions against the spread. You know what? F that. That's a big F. Giants. I'm picking the Giants. 13.5. We know when we can identify a good thing, and y'all can laugh at me next week. And that's fine. But I'm doing me. Next, we have the divisional game. Minnesota Vikings. JJ McCarthy. 9. Whatever you want to call him. Going into Green Bay to take on the Packers. Minnesota Vikings have fallen to the bottom of the NFC North. They are 4-6. JJ McCarthy has dealt with injuries since he got into the league, which means his reps have been very, very limited, and it is showing. Now, he's been clutch at the end of the game. And one thing that the Packers love to do is knock their opponent down and just stand there and taunt them and not finish them off, which allows the opponent to get back up and make a comeback. Hopefully that doesn't happen this week. Alright. What can I tell you about the outs this week? On the Vikings, there is nobody listed as out outside of the IR. On the Packers, Jaden Reed is still not playing. Hopefully next week he gets in the game. We need him. Nate Hobbs, cornerback, is also still out with a knee. Josh Jacobs is a game time decision. Quay Walker is doubtful. Linebacker. I'm sorry. This is my team, so I know the players. I know their positions. Our offense is quite beat up. It's going to take a lot of effort this week. It's going to take a lot of effort. I'm going with the Packers. 6.5 points. I think the defense does enough. I think it takes the ball away for some errant throws. And they might even score. I don't know. But hopefully they get more turnovers this week. And hopefully the Packers cover the 6.5. Please win. Alright, next we got the Colts going into Kansas City. Kansas City getting 3.5 points though. Outs for this game, we've got running back Isaiah Pacheco for the Chiefs. And for the Colts, we've got linebacker Jalen Carleys. Not many people out. This is a battle of Titans. And one of those Titans is desperate. 5-5 right now. Indianapolis Colts, 8-2. Surprised that Kansas City is getting points here. I'm going with the Colts. I think they slap them around. I think Jonathan Taylor gets a bunch of TDs. Hands up. I don't know, man. let's move on from this one. There's not a whole lot to talk about. It should be a pretty good game to watch, though. So if you get the chance, get your eyes on this game. Next up, we got Seattle Seahawks getting 12.5 points against the Tennessee Titans. I've picked the Seahawks here, 12.5 points. I don't know what I'm thinking. I think 12.5 points is a lot. The Seahawks are kind of pissed off. Last week, they did get their asses handed to them by the Rams. Who's out in this game? For the Seahawks, wide receiver Torrey Horton, what a name. We got linebacker Tyrese Knight. For the Titans, we've got wide receiver Alec Ayamana, safety Kendall Brooks, and safety Xavier Woods. Those are all the outs this week. Look, this Seahawks offense, if it can roll, and it needs to roll. Alright, it needs to roll. I've got them 12.5 points. They can do this. Titans have been blown out. They have held a lot of games to the tightness. Funny way to say that. But still, I think the Seahawks really want to come out firing here. They want to make a stamp of a win here. Jackson Smith is probably going to go off. Alright. Let's move on. We've got the Jacksonville Jags getting 2.5 points going into Arizona. I myself here have the Cardinals. I think they can win this game. Look, Jacoby Brissett is a absolute weapon. He's really helped show what an offense can look like. Shade. I don't have a whole lot to say about this game. This one could really go either way. Both of these teams are in an area where they're trying to really figure it out, but they're both extremely talented. So if everything starts to click, there's two powerhouses right here. A lot of the team doesn't give them the respect that they need because they haven't figured it out. Now Jacksonville are 6-4. The Cardinals are 3-7. Cardinals are most certainly out of the race now. Most certainly. In the NFC, whew, Jacksonville Jags have hope though. I think the Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett as well, if he wants to keep that job, he needs to ball out because they're probably going to have a very high pick and they're probably going to want to pick a quarterback. So hopefully he can ball for the rest of the season and say, hey, I'm your guy. Get me some help, damn it. I've got the Cardinals here, 2.5 points. Let's move on to the absolutely most spectacular matchup you have ever seen. The Raiders getting 4.5 points in Las Vegas against the visiting Cleveland Browns, headed by Shedeur Sanders. I've got the Raiders here. It's a rookie quarterback game, his first true game starting. He's had 1 week of full first team reps. Last week was not a great showing. I think this is one of those welcome to the NFL moments, and I think he gets one of those handed directly to him by Max Crosby. He is going to be like, why does this man not stop? Why does this guy not stop rushing? He touches me after I throw the ball. He is always there. And he's hit me like 3 times. I got the Raiders here. Look, the Browns have a very good defense. They have talent on the offense, and hopefully Shedeur can like spark some of that and really show what the talent on that team is. But I honestly think that it's going to be rookie quarterback season here. You know, we got a D-line that does not want to be shown up by a rook. Okay, I'm going with the Raiders here. Let's move on to this divisional game of Titans, damn it. Titans. We got the Philadelphia Eagles getting 3.5 points going into Dallas, and guess what? That's right, I'll pick Dallas. Because guess who the Philadelphia Eagles loses to? Divisional rivals, man. They understand their division is a sack of crap, but somehow they lose to them. Obviously, these teams have their number more than anybody because they have to play them twice a year. I think the Cowboys have them here. Last time they played, I think CD went for over 100. George Pickens has really woken up since then. This offense can be an offense, and I think the defense is starting to hum a little more as well. It's probably going to be a pretty good game to watch. Get eyes on this one. I'm going with the Cowboys here. Dak Prescott football is here to stay. Oof. Okay, now again, back to the shit show of a game. I've got the Saints here, 1.5 points. I think we talked about it enough in the previous section, and I don't want to talk about this game anymore. Until Bub Means is on that roster, we are not going to be talking about the Saints that much. So let's move on. Sunday Night Football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. LA Rams. 7.5 points. In Los Angeles for the Rams. I'm picking the Rams here. The Bucs still have quite a few people out. They're not the most healthiest squad right now. And the Rams have been so strong. They're one of the very few 2-loss teams in the league. Now the Bucs, they're not going to give up an easy fight. And I know 7.5 points is a lot. But it just takes a little bit towards the end of the game to unravel. And Rams can make you pay. They can make you pay. Tampa Bay's defense is not terrible. So they might put up a little bit of fight on that side. But there's just so many weapons there. And Matthew Stafford is playing MVP football. It's in LA. I've got the Rams. Now Monday Night Football. Last game of the week. The Carolina Panthers 6-5. Who would have imagined? Versus the San Francisco 49ers 7-4. Niners getting 7.5 points here. I don't like that. I've got the Panthers 7.5 points here. Those are my picks. This season record is going to be a positive next week. Hey, it might be even. We might be at 500 next week. Let's hope. Again, my picks in order. We got Jets, Bears, Patriots, Giants, Packers, Colts, Seahawks, Cardinals, Raiders, Cowboys, Saints, Rams, and Panthers for the against the spread picks this week. Have fun with them. Moving on to the betting section of the show. Against the spread is a betting section, but I don't really put my bets on that. So, first up on the left side of the screen, we've got my favorite dogs. And on the right side of the screen, we have just some bets that you can throw into your parlays to help beef them up. You know, just give them a little bit of a beefing. These aren't high odd bets. They're just usually, you know, over, under, you know, crap like that. So they're nice to throw into a parlay if you're feeling good about them. But we start on the left side of lines we like with our favorite dogs. Who are our favorite dogs this week? Pittsburgh Steelers basically in a pick'em 2.5 points in Chicago. They can do it. Hope they don't. We got the New York Giants for before mentioned reasons. Say no less. They're my favorite dog. They are my actual favorite dog out of this list, actually. So, chuck it on there. Next, I got the Minnesota Vikings making an upset in Green Bay. Hope they don't. They do have a lot of offensive weapons. KOC probably knows what the Packers are wanting to do offensively. I don't know. It might be an ugly game. Next, we got the Indianapolis Colts, for some reason being dogs against the Kansas City Chiefs. Arizona Cardinals, also dogs this week against the Jags. We got the Cleveland Browns, dogs against the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I know I said this is probably Raiders, but I'm just thinking, man, what if Shador is the answer? What if he just plays one great game in his entire NFL life and this is it? Who knows? Who knows? Either way, the game's a bit of a shit show. So either team can come out. So the Cleveland Browns in that section are one of my favorite dogs. Then we got the Dallas Cowboys dogs in the divisional against the Eagles, the strong Eagles, the defending champions of the world, man. I really like the Dallas Cowboys here. As much as I don't like the Dallas Cowboys, for some reason, I've been really, really liking them this season. Dak Prescott football. He's a dog. And then finally, we got the Carolina Panthers as dogs against the Niners. Now, I do believe Brock Purdy is back and he's playing. George Kittle is playing. You know, Christian McCaffrey is playing. The team's healthy. The team's rolling. I think Carolina can win. Either way, that whole list right there, they're my favorite dogs. And I've explained why. Alright, move on to the next section of lines we like. You can chuck these into your parlays. They're nice little bets. I've got the Jets and Ravens total over of 44.5 points. I'm not going to defend myself here. I'm just gonna throw that one out there. Then we've got the Giants and Lions over 49.5 points. Now, whichever way you think about it, whichever way you want to slice it, you know, maybe all of those points are scored by the Lions. I don't know. You don't know. But still, Giants are my favorite dogs here. I think Jameis Winston might have a bit of a day tomorrow. Next, we've got the Jags at Cardinals total over of 47.5 points. I feel like 47.5 can be modest for both of these teams. This could become a shootout very, very quickly. You might even get a total over of like 60 points right there. That's something to think about. Next, we got Falcons against the Saints. I've got the total under of 39.5 points. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be a very pretty looking thing. And I think it's going to be a low scoring affair. I wouldn't have eyes on this one. Okay, let's move on to the props. We got Caleb Williams rushing over 22.5 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers with TJ Watt. With that defensive line. I think he's going to run. I think he's going to need to run. He might even run into the paint. We don't know. 22 seems modest for this guy though. He likes to scramble. He needs to scramble. He likes to run for yards. He needs to run for first downs. 22.5 rushing over yards for Caleb Williams. Throw it on the ticket. Next, I've got Jacoby Brissett over 247.5 passing yards. This guy's been electric. He's needed to throw the ball like 40 times in the last 3 games. And I mean 40 times each game. That's kind of crazy. His arm and shoulder are probably very, very sore. And he's probably going to need to throw the ball another 40 times tomorrow. 247 passing yards. With the type of weapons that he has, Trey McBride, frickin' Marvin Harrison Jr. There's another guy there as well. I don't know, man. 247 seems modest. Throw it on the ticket. Next, we got the tight end for the Baltimore Ravens, Mark Andrews, to get into the paint for a touchdown. Now, if I can pull up some stats really quick, and I should have probably been prepared for this. I think I'm more so surprised that the graphics team has not screwed me over this week. Now, if I was to look at the red zone stats for the Baltimore Ravens, out of the running backs, Derrick Henry has had 33 total looks in the red zone. Out of the wide receivers, Rashad Bateman leads with 6 targets in the red zone. Zay Flowers is behind him with 5 targets in the red zone for the whole season. Now, if we go to tight ends, Mark Andrews has 12 red zone targets on the season. They like to go to him when they're in the red zone. Mark Andrews touchdown. Throw it on the ticket. Chuck it down there. Alright. In the next prop line, we have Jahmyr Gibbs to rush over 74.5 yards against the New York Giants. Look, he didn't have a great week last week. The whole Lions team didn't. I think he's going to want to whoop some behind this week. Now, running backs, at least lead running backs for teams, have eclipsed 74.5 yards in most of their contests. I mean, Philadelphia had 2 running backs break 100 yards each in a single game. Christian McCaffrey a few weeks ago got 106. DeAndre Swift for the Bears got 80. Last week, carries were shared between Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson due to Josh Jacobs hurting his knee, but both of them got 40, and I'd imagine if Jacobs was healthy for the whole game, he would have eclipsed that 74.5 yards. This is very doable for Jahmyr Gibbs. Throw it on the ticket. Next up, as I have spoken about before in this episode, Max Crosby to get a sack, being relentless against the Rook, Shedeur Sanders. I think he gets home at least once. And then finally, in our props, we got JJ McCarthy to throw an interception. This man has basically thrown an interception in every single one of his starts. I'm going to bring it up. Game logs right now. Started in week 1, threw a pick. Week 2, threw 2 picks. Then he was out for 6 weeks. Week 9, he threw a pick. Week 10, he threw 2 picks. Week 11, he threw another 2. JJ McCarthy, interception against a very, very good Green Bay defense. I throw it on the ticket. I chuck it on there. Alright, that was lines we like. Very fun section. Very informative. Next, we're going to our bets. So these are our ritual bets, I guess you could say. We do this every week. We've got our 5-game parlay, and we've got our $1 million bet. Our 5-game parlay for the Sunday football this week, we have New England Patriots money line against the Bengals. We have Indianapolis Colts a money line against the Kansas City Chiefs. Colts are actually dogs here, so you get good bonus right there. Next, we've got the Arizona Cardinals plus 2.5 points. Again, I think they can win. I'm just covering my little behind in case it's close. Same story for the Dallas Cowboys, plus 3.5 points against Philadelphia. I think they can win. Just covering the touche as it gets pushed. And Dallas Cowboys cover. Then we have the Los Angeles Rams against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, minus 7.5 points. This one I am the least confident about, to be honest. I know you're looking at the Dallas Cowboys one and, think I'm probably on crack. But I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably more likely to keep it within 7.5 points than the Dallas Cowboys are of losing the game by more than 3 points, because I think they can win that game. Either way, that's the 5-game parlay. You can rock with it. If you don't like something there, you can switch something out. You can go with a 4-game parlay. Shit, it's your world. Do what you want. But this is my show, so this is what I'm doing. Next, the $1 million parlay. That's right. This is a $100,000 2-1 bet, which means if you throw $10 on this thing, it will net you a melee. Now, on the Sean Show, we want to become a millionaire, and we want to do it the easy way. That's right. So we create our Millie parlay, we throw $10 on, we enjoy the football, and boom. Rich. These are the lines. We got Jahmyr Gibbs, 125 plus rushing yards. We got Amon St. Ra, 100 plus receiving yards. Jackson Smith and Jigma, 125 plus receiving yards. Jonathan Taylor to pick up 3 touchdowns. Jacoby Brissett, 300 plus passing yards. We got Kyron Williams, 80 plus rush yards, which I think is quite modest. Jordan Love, 3 passing touchdowns. We don't know what the running back situation is going to be like. He may have to throw the ball to the end zone, right? Maybe to Tucker Kraft. Maybe to Romeo Dobbs. Maybe to Christian Watson. Maybe to Bo Melt. The list goes on, and there are many more who are injured. Alright? A healthy Packers team is a scary Packers team. Jordan Love, 3 plus passing touchdowns. And then finally, Darnell Washington. If you have not seen this man, look him up. The guy's like an O-lineman playing tight end. It's crazy. He throws people around. He's like 300 pounds. DBs can't touch him. They've been waking him up recently. They've been feeding him the ball more in Pittsburgh. 30 plus receiving yards is modest. If DK gets shut down or has a lot of trouble, or they focus on him, this guy's going to get fed. And he's going to be throwing bodies. Believe me. Anyway, guys, that's the $1 million parlay. Chuck them into one parlay. All of them props. Throw $10 on. Become a millionaire like me. Alright, guys, look. That was the Sean Show, okay? I don't know what to tell you. It's the end of the show. Thank you for watching. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for visiting if it's the first time here. Hope you come back. If you like the show, subscribe, like, comment, don't care. Prefer it if you subscribe though. Don't need the engagement. Would like to see that number go up. In fact, let's hope it go up. Hit subscribe button, people. Anyway, I'm out. Enjoy the football. It's going to be a great one. Hope your team wins. Hope my teams win. Peace out.